Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Giri Varadhari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Giri Varadhari Yasodanandana Braja Janahanjadaya Yasodanandana Braja Janahanjadaya Jamunatira Aham Jamunatira Aham Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giri Varadhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giri Varadhari Yasodanandana Braja Janahanjadaya Yasodanandana Braja Janahanjadaya Jamunatira Jamunatira Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Hare. Hey. Jaya Kishore Kishori Kishore Kishori Kishore Kishori Jai Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori Kishore Kishori Kishore Kishori Jai Kishore Kishori Prabhupada, 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 Jai, Prabhupada. Meghai Ghor, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Ghor, Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad.Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 75, Duryodhana humiliated. This is text number 31. That's what's on the board? Yeah, okay. Ekadanta Puretasyaha Vikshya Duryodhana Sriyam Atapya Rajasuyasya Mahitvam Chayutatmanaha Ekadanta Puredatasyaha Vikshya Duryodhana Sriyam Atapya Rajasuryasya Mahitvam Chayutatmanaha Ekadante Pure Tasya Vikshya Duryodhana Sriyam Atapyad Rajasuryasya Mahitvam Chatyut Tatmanaha. Ekadanta Puretasya Vikyadusha Sriyapanaha Vatapya Rajasuryasya Mahitvam Chatyut Tatmanaha. Word for word, Ekada. One day, Antapure, within the palace, Tasya, his, Maharaj Yudhisthira, Vikshya, observing, Dayodhanaha, Dayodhana, Shriyam, opulence, Atapyat, he was pained, Rajasuryasya, of the Rajasurya sacrifice. Mahitvam, the greatness, Cha, and Achyuta Atmanaha, of him, King Yudhisthira, whose very soul was Lord Achyuta. Translation. One day, Duryodhana, while observing the riches of King Yudhisthira's palace, felt greatly disturbed by the magnificence of both the Rajasurya sacrifice and its performer, the king, whose life and soul was Lord Achyuta. Verse number 32. In that palace, all the collected opulences of the kings of men, demons, and gods were brilliantly manifest, have been brought there by the cosmic inventor Maya Donovan. With those riches, Draupadi served her husband, and Duryodhana, the prince of the Kurus, lamented because he was very much attached to her. Verse 33. Lord Madhupati's thousands of queens were also staying in the palace. Their feet moved slowly, weighed down by their hips, and their bells on their feet tinkled charmingly. Their waists were very slender, the kumkum from their breasts reddened their pearl necklaces, and their swaying earrings and flowing locks of hair enhanced the exquisite beauty of their faces. Very nice description of the queens in Dwarka. Srila Prabhupada writes, after looking at such beauties in the palace of King Yudhisthira, Duryodhana became envious. He became especially envious and lustful upon seeing the beauty of Draupadi, because he had cherished a special attraction for her from the beginning of her marriage with the Pandavas. In the marriage selection assembly of Draupadi, Duryodhana had also been present, and with the other princes he had been very much captivated by the beauty of Draupadi, but he had failed to achieve her. Om Gyantimidandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in the very last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, Sanjaya says, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and where there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, wherever the Lord and his pure devotee, there is certainly victory, great strength, great opulence, and one more. What's the last one? Huh? What's the last one? Extraordinary power. Thank you. So here we see Krishna's there with all his queens, and there's so much opulence in the palace. The palaces were made of lapis lazuli, which is a very precious stone that is no longer available. It's quite rare. And they were diamonds, rubies, emeralds, various gold, jewelry. And the palaces were not any, there wasn't any artificial light. Everything was lit by the jewels of the palace. So everything was so opulent. Because it says wherever Krishna's there, there is great opulence. And wherever his pure devotee is there, then everything becomes wonderful and auspicious. These two features of the absolute truth bring about great, great fortune to anyone who serves both the Lord and the pure devotee. We see in this material world, society, today's society, claims to be very advanced. But look at their external trimmings. You see, there is no gold available. Silver is not available. Women don't wear gold bangles, they wear plastic. People eat on paper plates. Years ago, they used to eat on gold plates. And then after they would finish, they would throw the plate away. Although it was gold, still it was considered valuable, but they had so much opulence that it was like easily available. And of course, nowadays we have paper money. It's not even precious metals like it used to be hundreds of years ago for currency. The society is just really fallen down into a very low, decrepit state of existence, although they claim to be so advanced. Cars are made out of tin junk. You crash and the whole thing crumbles. I remember when we were in India, Prabhupada would always drive in what was that car? Big, heavy car. Huh? It was like a Volvo, but it was, what was it? Who knows, from India, that was a big car. Huh? Ambassadors, yeah. And if you crashed, the car wouldn't even, be nothing. It's still, there's no dent in the car, nothing. It was like an armored tank. It didn't go real fast, but it was a strong car. So nobody had to worry about getting hurt in cars nowadays. You can push your finger against the car and you put a dent in it. It's just cheap. Everything is so, what we say, artificially opulent. There's no real opulence there. It's all just some glimmer of opulence. And so, but here we see the queens were so decorated with so much jewelry and bangles and ornaments, earrings, and so many things. It says that if you're married, you should decorate your wife. This is one of the, I was just at a marriage a couple of days ago in New York. Devotees were getting married. So one devotee, he was telling me, he was a brahmachari for a long time. He wasn't the person to get married, it was another person. But he was telling me that, so I got married, and I came to my Guru Maharaj, and I said, now I'm in Grihastha life, what is my main business? He said, you should decorate your wife very nicely with jewelry, nice silken saris, and very nice costly jewelry. And he was a little shocked. He didn't expect that from his sannyasi guru. But this is what The guru wasn't joking. I remember I was in Mayapur, and I have a disciple. He's from Croatia. He's a very wonderful devotee. And his wife's very simple. And I always tell him, why don't you decorate your wife? Give her some nice clothes. And he doesn't listen. So one night, he had a dream. And in the dream, I appeared to him in a dream, and I gave him a green sari in the dream. He told me this dream the next day. So I was thinking, why would I give him a green sari? He's in a male body. But then we understood, I gave it to him so he could give it to his wife. And the dream was a means for me to somehow or other make it the point that, come on, your wife is not very nicely dressed. Give her some nice ornaments and nice saris. So yeah, this is important in married life. It's not a small thing. It's very important. So here we see how, Krishna, of course, Krishna is the source of all opulence, and all opulence is actually coming from him anyway. So he is, but anyone, the queens here, there's 16,108 queens, and they each have a palace. Each one has their own palace. And Krishna is there, in each one of the palaces, he expands himself into that many features of himself just to please each and one of these queens. Now, Duryodhana, he was on the opposite side of Krishna. He was fighting against Yudhisthira. Yudhisthira was victorious. And so here we see Duryodhana, he's really unhappy. So it says here, he is envious. He's feeling slighted. He wants what Yudhisthira has. Although he's a powerful king, he has many followers, and he has great abilities to bring others to follow him and to support him. But still, compared to Yudhisthira, he's nothing. Although he has a lot himself, and he's also a very powerful fighter, still he's not happy. So this particular principle of envy goes on as the material world. Everyone is envious of everyone. This is the material world. Because there's always so much competition to be the best or to get the more. Well, I have $1 million, I need 2 million. Because you got 10 million, I'll get 12 million. So everyone wants to overseed or overdo the other person. There's so much competition for position, power, riches, fame. It goes on in so many things. And nobody's happy because they all want to be the best and outdo the others. And if you can't, then you feel unhappy about yourself. And that's called jealousy. If you're jealousy means you feel unhappy because you can't have what they have. And envious means you want what they have and you'll do whatever they can to get what they have. So one is jealousy and one is envy. Both are pretty much the same meaning. One's towards oneself, the other one is towards others. So it's explained in the Srimad.Bhagavtam that the living entity falls to the material world because of being envious of Krishna. In the spiritual world, Krishna is the center. He's the cynosure. He's the most beautiful object, and everyone centers their activities around Krishna. And the living entities in the spiritual world are also fully cognizant. So sometimes they may also think, why can't I be the center? So as soon as one starts thinking like that, then they fall to the material world. So the material world is just a collection of living entities who want to be God or want to be Radharani. So I have my wife, she's Radharani, and I'm Krishna, and we enjoy as much as we can. Of course, no one can enjoy on the same level as the Supreme Lord because he is the source of all enjoyment. And our enjoyment is not challenging him or competing with him, but becoming his assistant in service. And when we connect with him in devotional service, it says that we also enjoy on the same level as the Lord, because he gives his mercy to those who surrender unto him in devotion. And they develop all good qualities. They develop all opulences. One of the forms of liberation is sharsti. There are 5 types of liberation: samipya, sahuja, salokya, what's the other one? Sharsti, and one more. And sarupya, samipya, salokya, sharsti, and sahuja. Yeah, sahuja we're not interested in. That's the liberation that the demons get, or the impersonalists get. But the devotees can get sharsti. Sharsti means they get the same opulence as the Lord. The Lord shares his opulence, and that's a form of liberation. But devotees don't want that. They don't want all of the things that Krishna has. They simply want to serve Krishna. They're happy simply by devotional service, because they know simply by serving the Lord, I'm completely satisfied and happy. And if Krishna is happy, then all of my desires are automatically fulfilled perfectly and eternally. This is how a devotee thinks. But the non-devotees, because they don't connect with the Lord, they're always struggling and fighting amongst themselves for some kind of benefit to enjoy the opulences in this world. And they struggle so hard. And they don't even get a chance to enjoy it. I remember I had one disciple, her and her husband. They were living in one farm community, and they were working for this one man who had a very large farm with many horses and animals, and there was houses there, swimming pools, and all kinds of recreation. Now he let them live on their land, and they were staying in the house that he had, and they were enjoying the whole place, but they were working for him and also getting paid for it. And he was living in the city, working in an office all day, and twice a year he would come out to see the farm. So he had this big, beautiful farm with so much opulence, at least nature's opulence, and he never really took advantage of it. He simply was working in an office in the city, trying to make more and more money. So the materialists, they get big, giant houses, and they work all day. And then when they come home, they're so tired, they just go to sleep. So this is material life. Spiritual life is you simply serve the Lord in different ways. And whatever service you offer the Lord is pleased. Patram pushram palam tayam yome bhakti panashyati taraham bhakti uparitam asnami payatat manaha. And the Lord shares his mercy with those who serve him with devotion. And that's not hard, because devotion is natural for the living entity. Enviousness is like a shadow that covers the living entity's existence. It's not real, but it appears to be real. So this envy causes one to become unhappy. And happiness is the natural constitutional position. So Prabhupada used to say, if you're envious, you're in the material world. If you're non-envious, you're in the spiritual world. Like that. But devotees are not envious. Sometimes devotees compete with each other to be better in their service, but that competition is called transcendental envy. It's accepted because it is competing to see who can serve Krishna the best. And who benefits? Krishna. In the spiritual world, the gopis, one gopi is serving Krishna so nicely, and Krishna is very pleased by her service, and the other gopis think, wow, look how nicely she pleased Krishna. I want to do that, and I want to do better than that. So she tries to outdo that other gopi by serving Krishna in better ways. And and they compete to see who can serve Krishna the best. But nobody, and whoever wins, they say, "Yay! All glories to you." In other words, everyone is happy with whoever serves Krishna the best because it's all about serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. So there's no envy in this spiritual world, although there is competition. Just like we do competition here. We have our book marathon, so devotees try to, get the top place in the book distribution. That goes around the world. And they really work hard. Sometimes they stay out all night just to distribute books so they can be number one. But that's good because that really brings about more and more preaching, more and more people benefit. The books go out, the devotees become really fired up in their service to the Lord, and the Lord is very pleased with that. So spiritual competition is good because it has no envy in it or no enmity. Whoever wins, yay! But we enjoy that competition. Who can, I don't know. I mean, we used to do it's not a very spiritual thing, but the devotees used to do it. Who could eat the most glubjamins? Who could eat the most glubjamins? So we used to have a glubjamin eating contest. And the glubjamins were big, not the small little guys. These were like, you can't even put it in your mouth, they're so big. So sometimes devotees would eat 30, 40 glubjamins. So there was one competition in St. Louis one time at the temple, and it was really getting good. There was a tie between two devotees. They both had eaten 86 glubjamins in a row. 86, not misses. I mean, devotees, when they do something, they don't fool around. So, and one devotee thought, we're tied at 86 each. I'm going to eat two more. So he ate 87, and then he decided, I'll eat one more just to make sure. And he ate 88. Guess what happened? He lost. Couldn't handle the last one. So you imagine how much sugar intoxication that is. So that was pretty much an ISKCON, game that we used to. I don't think we play that anymore. It's not very, what we say, recommended. But devotees like to compete. Who could distribute the most books? Who can? I don't know. Who can sing the best? Who can dance the best? But it's always in the spirit of praising the other devotee. It's never in like, well, because you win, I'm unhappy. No, if you win, I'm happy, and if I win, I'm happy. So it's like that. So transcendental competition is nice because it expands Krishna consciousness. It expands Krishna consciousness like that. And so, but this type of envy here, what we see from Duryodhana, he's unhappy. And because he's unhappy, he's becoming miserable. I mean, he wanted Draupadi. He came to the Swayamvara of Draupadi. He wasn't able to win. He lost. Pandavas were victorious. Now he sees the opulence of Yudhishthira's palace. He becomes more unhappy. So this envy, Prabhupada explains that there are 6 enemies of the living entity. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, and Matsarya. Kama, lust, Krodha, anger, Lobha, greed, Moha, illusion, Mada, pride, and Matsarya, envy. Prabhupada says that envy is the worst one. He said you can somehow use kama, krodha, lobha, moha, all of them in the service of the Lord. But you can't use envy in the service of the Lord because that is material. And therefore one has to free themselves from any tendency to be unhappy by another person's success. Because that happens in the material world. Sometimes it happens all the time in the material world. But sometimes it filters into the society of devotees. But if you want, envy is destroyed by serving the Vaishnavas. By rendering service to Vaishnavas, we become free from envy. And envy is also destroyed by being satisfied. Krishna is giving everyone something. He may not give you exactly what he has given someone else, but he's given you something. The devotee is grateful for whatever Krishna has given them. And of course, he's giving us the association of devotees. He's giving us the chance to chant the holy names of the Lord. He's giving us nice Krishna prasadam. He's giving us a life free from anxiety by rendering devotional service to him. So the devotee is grateful. The devotee is never unhappy because they're always appreciating how much they have Krishna has given them, the association of devotees has given them. They're happy. They're satisfied. And if they get more, they use it for Krishna service. If Krishna takes something away, they think, well, it belongs to Krishna anyway. So if he wants to take it away, he can take it away because it's his in the first place. No, devotees never unhappy. Devotees always satisfied with whatever they get. In the scriptures it says you should be satisfied with three things and you should not be satisfied with three things. You should be satisfied with wife or husband. You should be satisfied with prasadam, whatever comes by way of Krishna's mercy. And you should be satisfied with money, whatever way it comes. Three things you should always be satisfied. Three things you should never be satisfied. You should never be satisfied with chanting the holy name, glorifying the Lord, or giving a charity. That means we always want more chanting. We always want to glorify the Lord more and more and more. And those who give in charity, they understand that giving in charity is a continuous thing like that. So giving in charity, glorifying the Lord by chanting His holy name, and glorifying the Lord like that, devotees are always want to do more and more of these things. This is Krishna consciousness. And a person who is envious is sometimes making plans to destroy their competitors, and because of that, sometimes they get destroyed. So this envy is very... Prabhupada said, a killing of the animals is a feature of envy. God has given that animal a life, the right to live, and you want to interfere with God's right that He has given to that living being to live in that body. So that's another form of envy like that. So these are the features that should be very carefully avoided. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. You can sit on the bench if you like. Would you like to sit on the floor? Good. Okay. So a devotee is always happy, whatever Krishna arranges. And if he gets more, fine. If he doesn't, Krishna takes it away. What does it say? In the Christian scriptures, they used to say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the Lord. And they're always happy because they always have a chance for service. And that is the happiness that the devotee gets, just to serve the Lord, and especially to serve the Lord's devotee. That is the happiness. If you wake up one morning and there's no service to do, Krishna says, I don't need you today. Hare Krishna, take a break. You'll think, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is miserable. But Krishna won't do that. I'm just using that as an example to show how a devotee becomes unhappy when they don't get a chance to serve. A devotee wants to serve in every situation they can. And one who looks for service, one who goes out of their way to find more and more opportunities for service, becomes very, very dear to the Lord. Because the Lord knows, He understands, she understands everything. But here we have the opposite. Duryodhana has so much. He has power, he has influence, he has strength, he's a great fighter, and he has so many followers, he has wealth, so many things, and yet he's envious. So that shows you from the material point of view, whatever you have materially doesn't satisfy you. You can have the whole world, but you'll never be satisfied unless you have a relationship with the source of everything, Krishna or the Supreme Lord Himself. Only that gives satisfaction. Of course, in the material world, sometimes people they're satisfied because they have nice relationships with other living entities. But that satisfaction is temporary because relationships are always changing, and time also pulls that relationship apart. So there's some temporary satisfaction in the material world because people have some kind of, what we say, satisfactory relationships with others. But sometimes we see even that doesn't stand the test of time. But a devotee, service is always available. Devotees are always happy. They have the association of other devotees. And they are on their way back home, back to Godhead. If they simply stay fixed in devotional service, then they'll ultimately achieve the supreme mercy of the Lord and return back to the spiritual world. So here Bhagavatam teaches us what to avoid, not only what to accept, but what to avoid. And this quality of envy is very hard to somehow or other, what we say, overturn or override. But if a devotee is always happy to serve, then there's no enviousness. One great devotee in our movement said, if you're envious towards someone, that means you're envious towards God. Because God has given that person who they are, what they have, and whatever they have. And you're saying, well, I don't like what you've given them, Lord, therefore I'm unhappy. So your problem is not with that person, but with the Supreme Lord. Pretty heavy statement when you think about it. So this, and one, as Prabhupada said, and I'll repeat it, if you're free from envy, you're in the spiritual world. When you're free from, if you have envy, then you're still struggling in the material world like that. So we become happy simply by and we see when others make advancement, when others get the mercy of the Lord, whatever, the devotee always feels wonderful. Because we're all on the same team, right? We're all trying to serve the Lord and serve each other while we're serving the Lord. So if another person is making advancement, we feel happy because it's our benefit also. So every devotee is always happy in all situations. Okay, any questions, comments? Do we have questions online also? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was remembering one verse was there from Bhagavatam, like birds, they hunker. When the mother bird will come, bring that food for them. Calf hunkers how to drink milk, wait for the drinking milk. Similarly, devotee aspires for the devotional service so intensely, like calf, like that, something on verse, if you remember Bhagavatam.
Where is that verse?
That's what I was just.
A devotee is what?
Devotee intensely they desire to serve
Yeah.
Supreme Personal Godhead, just like the calf wait for the milk to be from the
Oh,
mother
yeah.
cow, and
Okay.
birds. They,
Just like a calf is eager for the milk from her mother,
yes,
the devotee is eager for
to serve.
service, and it's like the sweetness of Krishna's mercy coming in the form of the opportunity to serve. Yeah. Nice. Another nice says that if there's 1,000 cows and there's one calf amidst all of those cows, that calf will find its mother. Although there are so many cows, that calf knows who its mother is. She will find her very fast. So in the same way, although there's so many things going on, devotees always go to Krishna because they know this is where the nectar is, Krishna, or devotional service. Any other comments or questions? Oh, yeah, okay.
This is not really like devotional thing, but you commented about cars being really cheap.
There's one thing about this temple, it's got very bad acoustics, so when we speak, all the words go up.
Yeah.
So it's better if you don't use a microphone.
I just wanted to say that cars these days are so cheap because they made to break and protect the person inside. The cars are really very like hard outside to shape between the car crashes. Humans suffer. But they made the very fragile particular cars now so the humans will not suffer in the car crash. I just wanted to let you know that there's some good thing to having cheap cars.
I couldn't catch everything you said. Somebody can repeat exactly what she said? Yeah. Keep it down. Keep it low, and yeah.
She said there is a reason.
There is a what?
There is a reason.
A reason.
For cars to be constructed in a cheap manner.
There is a reason for us to be constructed.
For cars.
For cows.
For vehicles in the present time to be constructed in a cheap way.
Oh, there's a reason why cars are constructed in a cheap way. Yeah, it's called built-in obsolescence. That means so they break down, you can fix them more, and the guy who fixes them makes all the money. Yeah, it's called built-in obsolescence. That we know. They can make a car that'll last you your whole life, and you don't need any fuel either. They can do it. They have made cars like that, but they won't market them because it interferes with the economic gain of some powerful people. So, yeah, everything is junk. It's all junk.
The reason given was that the cheap cars, they protect the inhabitants or the driver in a crash, whereas the heavy-duty armored vehicles, they cause more problems to the person inside if there's a crash. That's what was said.
If there's what?
If there's a crash,
yeah,
then the heavy armored vehicle, it causes more problem for the driver or the inhabitant of that vehicle. That is what was said.
I'm not sure. I can't really comment on that, so I don't know. But I've been in India, and we've had these Ambassador cars. They're really strong. When they crash, nothing happens. The car doesn't even get dented. If you've been to India, you know these cars are, well, that's what they used to make. That's no, you don't find ambassadors hardly anymore. Anyway, we're not here to manufacture cars. Okay, anything else? Any other comments, questions? Yes, Mataji has a question. Yeah, she's got a question. We'll get back to this. Okay.
In the devotional realm, if enviousness plays itself out and actions are done motivated by some enviousness, then if such a situation is present, what is the best approach to deal with that enviousness playing itself out, perhaps to gain position or something of that nature?
So if you're in contact with someone who's is kind of like exhibiting some envy, how do you deal with that? You can do two things. I mean, you can do many things, but two you can do. You can just humbly listen and then walk away, or you can change the subject. Like sometimes there was one devotee in our movement named Jayananda, and he was such a devotee that he never liked to hear any criticism of any other devotee. So when someone would be speaking about another devotee in a negative way, if he was there, he'd just walk away, just leave. Then the message would, oh, Jayananda's leaving. That means we're not speaking properly. Yeah. So, but sometimes a person will be speaking negatively about somebody or in an envious way, and then you just start mentioning their good qualities, and that kind of changes the whole thing. Oh yes, this person's like this, like this, like this, but yes, but also they like to give in charity. They have, you know, they're very friendly, you know. So you look for the good qualities, and then you bring that as the topic of discussion. Yeah, there was I can tell you a very powerful story. It's an archetype where there was one monastery. This is from the Christian tradition. It's a monastery. It was in Europe, and it was a very flourishing monastery. There were many monks in the monastery, and people were coming to visit the monastery, and it was very popular. Many monks, many people were coming. Everything was nice. But then things changed in time. After people stopped coming, and many of the monks started to leave, and after a while there was only 6 monks left in the whole place. And then one day, the news got that there was a rabbi who was traveling in the area of the monastery. So the monks were concerned that, we used to have a wonderful mountain. Now we don't have hardly any monks, nobody's coming. So they got together and went to the head of the monastery and said, why don't you meet this rabbi? He's a very special person we hear. Ask him, what can we do to bring back all of the, opulence and all of the success we had as our monastery? So the abbot, who's the head of the monastery, he went and he met the rabbi, and he asked him that question. And the rabbi said, well, I don't know what to say, but I can tell you one thing for sure. One of the brothers in your monastery now, he has been ordained by God. he is a Messiah. He's a very special personality. And then the abbot said, well, which one? He said, I can't say. So the abbot went back. All the monks got around him. What did the rabbi say? He said, well, he said, one of you is the Messiah. He's very blessed by God. He's come here as a mission. And they said, well, which one of us? He said he didn't say. So then they all started to think, is it Brother John? Well, he sleeps a lot, but he works hard. And is it Brother Michael? Brother Michael, well, you know, he may complain, but he's always right. So they started seeing all of the good qualities of all of the other monks because they didn't know which one of them. And after a while, they start serving each other because they weren't sure which one was the Messiah. And after that happened, the place started to fill up again. People started to come back, and monasteries started to flourish. This is a very powerful message. When we serve the Vaishnavas in a loving way, then so much will happen. Krishna will send so many people. He'll send opulence. He'll send success on all levels. That's the key to expanding Krishna consciousness. When the devotees develop loving relationships between each other and they serve in that mood, when that becomes the feature of any place, that place becomes what we say glorious. Because the Lord, it becomes very happy when he sees that, and then he himself will bring about all good fortune. That's how we do it. And another way to also expand the success is to preach. The more we preach, the more we bring in people, and the more we bring in people, the more everything becomes more and more successful. Managing, Prabhupada said, management follows preaching as a shadow follows the person. Management is important, but preaching is more important because this is a preaching movement. And so preaching means to show compassion to the fallen conditioned souls and bring them to Krishna consciousness. That's what it takes to really to expand the movement. It's all about preaching. And you'll see wherever there's a place that is preaching all the time, that place is flourishing. That place is flourishing. And you might say, well, we don't have enough persons to preach and manage at the same time. Then, well, I don't really want to give a formula for that, but ultimately put preaching first. And you'll see management will become very easy and natural. And Prabhupada did that when he was here. But serving the Vaishnavas is the highest form of service. If Krishna says, he who says he's my devotee is not my devotee. But he who says he's the devotee of my devotee is my devotee. So to serve the Lord, to please the Lord, means to serve the Lord's devotees. And to please the devotees by that service. That's the key to the heart of Krishna. Because Krishna's devotees are very dear to him. So let me see if I can find that verse you gave me.
Six, 11 is first.
6:11:25. Just as the baby birds who cannot yet fly eagerly wait for their mother to bring them food, as hungry calves anxiously hanker for the milk from the udder of their mother, and as a beloved wife earnestly waits for the return of her husband who has gone to a foreign land, O lotus-eyed Bhagavan, my mind intensely desires to see you. You know who's speaking that? It's Vikrasura. He's a demon. He's speaking that. He has a body of a demon, but he is a devotee at heart. This is a beautiful verse. It's one of the most important verses. Yeah. Thank you. This is 25. Actually, 24 is even just as powerful. O Sri Hari, please be gracious on me so that in my next life again, I'll get the opportunity to serve the servants who take exclusive shelter of your lotus feet. O Master of my life, may my mind always remember your auspicious qualities, my words always recite them, and my body always engage in your service. That's from Vikrasura, yeah. Vitrasura. Okay. Anything else before we end? Yes, Mataji. Can I elaborate what it means to be a devotee of the Lord's devotee? Kopi Bhartar Padaka Malayor, Dasa Dasa Anudas. Lord Chaitanya said that. And he said, I want to become the servant of the servant of the servant of those servants who are serving your lotus feet. So, practically speaking, what it means is just serve the Vaishnavas. And serving the Vaishnavas is more than just, well, when the opportunity comes, I do it. No, it's not good enough. Serving the Vaishnava means you have to look for opportunities to serve the Vaishnavas. You have to be eager, use your intelligence. How can I serve? How can I serve? And always be ready to take the opportunity. That's what it means to serve the Vaishnavas, to be proactive and not just what we say. When it comes, that's nice. No, proactive. And what's the difference between heaven and hell? I'll give you a nice story. There was one man, he was in heaven, and he said to the head of heaven, St. Peter, who's in charge of heaven, he said, St. Peter, what's the difference between heaven and hell? St. Peter said, all right, I'll show you. Let's go to hell. So they went to hell. And it was time for lunch in hell. So the bell rings, and everyone sits at a table that's round. It's a round table. They all sit around it. And in the middle is where all the food is. And so when the bell rings, everyone sits down, and they have these long forks. And from where they're sitting, they reach into the food with the forks, and then they try to eat. So that when the bell rings, they're all doing it at the same time, and the forks are smashing against each other. The food's falling off of the plate. They try to put it in their mouth. They can't do it. So he said, that's hell. So now he said, okay, what's it like in heaven? He said, all right, come. So heaven, same situation. The bell rings. It's a round table. Everyone's sitting around. Food's in the middle. Everyone's got long forks. The bell rings, and then they all take a fork and they feed the person next to them. And everybody's eating because they're all feeding each other like that. That's the difference between heaven and hell. That's the difference between material life and spiritual life. Spiritual life means I want to serve. Material life means I want to enjoy. I want to be served. So when we think about that, we find that this is what it takes to practice Krishna consciousness. Always be in the mood to serve. We have intelligence. Some of us have more, some have less. We have opulence. Some have more, some have less. We have time. Some have more, some have less. We all have something to offer. Use it for the service of the Lord and for His devotees, and you'll be happy. There's a statistic. This was in America many years ago. I think you'll like this one. Are you with me? Okay. Listen to this one. This is a statistic here in the United States of America. Oh, wait. Okay. So they did this statistic. Who are the happiest people in America? They did this. They do it around the world. And then they also do it by countries. One time they did it by countries, and the most happiest country was Bangladesh. Bangladesh was the happiest country. And people are very simple. They have not have much. They're very simple. But in America, they wanted to find out, in America, who are the happiest people? And then after the survey was completed, they found there were two characteristics that were outstanding in the people who are happy. One, they were busy, active. Two, they were always serving others. Whether they were nurses or they were police officers. In other words, their whole life was centered around helping others. They were the happiest people. Even from the material perspective, we see where there is some happiness, at least in that sense. But in spiritual life, when you serve others, devotees, you please Krishna. And because you please Krishna, then your life is perfect. So that's the mood. We're all doing that. Everyone's doing it. But one should think, how can I do it more? Or how can I do it more often? But there's one devotee I know in our movement. Every minute, he's in the mood of serving others. Every minute. Even in conversations, he always knows how to serve others in their conversations. He always gives pleasure to others. He's always thinking how to do something in such a way that whoever I'm with, I'm in the mood of serving that person, doing something to make that person happy or to benefit that person. That's Krishna consciousness. So it takes practice, but it is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. And of course, those who are serving others are actually serving the Lord also, because the Lord is very pleased when we serve His devotees. And we also serve the Lord also in our services too. They're not distinct. They're actually connected to each other. Okay, so I don't want to take up too much time because Prashadam is next, which is a chance to serve the devotees. So thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Kishore Kishori ki jai.